Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women's Real Estate Network. This is our Power Hour, and I'm Deborah Razor, the founder of WREN. We're going to hear from, if you can see my shared screen, we're going to hear from Dorothy Pang this evening, and I'm going to stop sharing and just welcome people in. Hello, all. I'm Deborah Razor. I'm the founder of WREN. Thank you for your time. If you can bring up your chat, ladies, and put your name and where you're from in the chat so that we can start chatting along. And if you can put your camera on, we'd love to connect. You know, we don't care if you don't have makeup on or you haven't brushed your hair in weeks. It's just us girls, you know, go on and come on in and put your camera on. Oh, I see some familiar faces here. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Jacqueline. Cindy is from Thousand Oaks, right?
Yep.
Moore Park, really. Karen, hi, Karen. I don't know what part of the world you're in right now, Karen, but thanks for logging on. I see Christina Suter. Christina is from Pasadena. She is one of our rock stars here. Henderson, Jacqueline from San Diego. Ladies, put your name and where you're from in the chat so that we can say hi. So let's get that chat going. Welcome to our Power Hour meeting. And I'm just going to tell you, we started this meeting for a couple reasons. You know what? People are just logging on right now. So I'm going to talk real quickly about Dorothy. Dorothy is one of our WREN members. And this meeting is our Power Hour meeting. And it's our meeting where we feature our WREN members who are doing business in real estate. So any kind of Power Hour that you might see us advertise, it could be a WREN member who's flipping or with buy and holds. This WREN member happens to be an investor herself and help other people take their equity in their homes and turn it into investments. So I'm sure she's going to have a lot of case studies for us, which I love a good case study. So I can't wait to see all that. If you are just logging on, put your name and where you're from in the chat. Dana, you're born and raised in Orange County. Go OC. Karen, oh yeah, you're from Port Hueneme, but I don't know where you are right now in the world. So there you go. Hello, LaRonda from San Francisco. Oh, nice of you to be. Thank you. I appreciate that. Who else is here? Barbara from San Diego. Hi, Barbara. Thank you for logging on. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and share some information with everyone. Today, we're going to talk to Dorothy Pang. She is our featured WREN speaker, our Power Hour speaker. And I just want to do some quick announcements. We're going to have a cash flow game in Los Angeles. So I'll put that link in the chat for anybody that's in LA. It is going to be September 10th, which is a week from Saturday. And if you want to come out and play cash flow, it's going to be really fun. Our next month's meeting is about this hot topic, tiny homes. In fact, this woman declares herself as the tiny home lady. Her name is Lindsay, and she's going to be speaking about tiny homes.
And you and Emma and Jazzy are going to talk it out.
Oh, Christina, maybe you could put yourself on mute for me. Thank you. And I've got an announcement. I want you all to come soar with us. We are going to have an in-person event. It's WREN Soar. It's October 17th and 18th. It's going to be for people who want to come. Oops, somebody, can you guys, I'll mute yourself, please. It's for people who want to take their real estate to the next level, right? So maybe you want to go into apartments or development or storage units or hotels. It's going to feature all that and more, financing, how to structure things. And we're going to have one day of teaching that's in classroom teaching. And then the day two, we're going to get on a bus and we're going to go around to those people that have those apartments, those developments, those hotels in Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to walk their properties and we're going to get like live in-person case studies. It's going to be really fun. So October 17th and 18th, we have not even started taking any kind of tickets yet. We're getting the landing page up as we speak. So you'll hear more about that via email, but put those dates in your calendar so you can save them. We started the WREN Power Hour for two reasons. One is it's an opportunity to get to know WREN. This is our free meeting. And we wanted people to be able to come and get to know us. If you've never attended a WREN event before, thank you for attending this event. And if you've never attended a WREN event before, could you put a first timer in the chat box so that we can welcome you? Because we love to welcome our first timers. Oh, and by the way, hello, Lillian from Van Nuys. Oh, first timer, Lori. Hi, Lori. Hi, Jamie from Maryland. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah, if you're a first timer, put first timers in the chat. Now, this isn't like our regular meetings. Usually we have a featured speaker or a panel of experts. They're all women real estate experts, by the way. But today's our power hour, so it's a little more casual. The second reason that we started this meeting is because we want to celebrate wins. Okay, ladies, remember that. This business can be hard, and celebrating our wins is part of it. The first part is for you to see what you've done and that you're having wins. And the next part is for us to be able to acknowledge it. Ladies, there might be somebody out there today that's accomplished something and not acknowledge their accomplishment. You know, have you ever done that? Put yes in the chat. If you've done something and you've just checked it off the list, but you've never said, hey, well done, girl. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got some yeses going in the chat. You've done this. Well, this is about acknowledging I did this. And in this meeting, we've asked our members to step forward and tell us about their projects. It helps us celebrate their wins, and it gives our members a chance to step up into more of a leadership role. Now, who here has been to a regular real estate meeting and has been surrounded by men and men speakers? I mean, has anybody else been to that besides me? Put yes in the chat if you've been to that. We always are surrounded. Yes, of course, we've all been to that. Well, this gives women a chance to advance our speaking skills by presenting here. So listen, you might want a piece of paper and a pen or something to take notes on, because you never know when somebody's going to say something that's going to give you that next great idea, and you want a way to capture it. Okay. So once again, I want to welcome you. For anybody who just logged on, I'm Deborah Razzo. I'm the founder of WREN. I am a real estate investor, and I'm excited to see you here tonight. So if you don't have your video on, put it on. Let's connect. That's what this is all about. Oh, yeah, here's a picture of me all done up and with makeup. I started my real estate investing journey about 13 years ago. Now, some of you know the story. I had a car accident. I'm going to take this picture off. I had a car accident, and it was one of those life-changing things, right? It wiped me out, both physically and financially. And it was about 13 years ago. And I had about a year to heal, which is a long time to think, ladies. It's a long time to think. And during that healing, I realized that I didn't have a bad life, but it wasn't the life I wanted to lead. I don't know if anybody's here who's had like an opportunity to start over. Anybody here ever had one of those opportunities? This was mine, right? Sometimes you get it from a divorce or the death of a loved one. For me, I got hurt in a car accident. And I realized while I was healing that I wasn't living my best life. I wanted cash flow. I wanted that passive income that everybody talked about, because I wanted to travel the world. And I wanted to show my kids that you could do anything you put your mind to. I didn't have any cash after the year was over. The doctor signed off on me, and I started flipping. I borrowed some money from my brother, and I made some money on a flip. So that was what I call active income. Flipping is active income, ladies. It is a job, okay? But I knew I wanted that passive. I wanted that passive. So I'd take some of that money and I'd reinvest it in single family cash flowing properties. I couldn't find, when I'm in LA, for those of you that don't know, I'm in Los Angeles. I couldn't find cash flowing properties in LA. So I went to Memphis, Tennessee, and I started buying one property and then buying another property. And I was continuing to flip and then buying another property, right? With all that time thinking, I want that passive income. I want that mailbox money, right? So a few years into that, I was curious where all the kick butt women were. And I started gathering women together so that we could we could relate to each other, so that we could help each other, right? What do women do best? We share resources, we share ideas, we support each other, right? And that's the community that we started to build. So we started in LA, and now we have 11 chapters. I want to share with you really quick our mission. So our mission is to create a community where women in real estate will excel and empower each other, where we'll share experiences, resources, and tools, and help each other grow both professionally and personally. And by the way, we like to have fun while we're doing it. And sometimes there's wine involved. I'm just saying. That's not part of our mission, but I'm just being honest with you. We were built on 4 pillars. We like our little bird, we like our little bird, WREN, our little WREN, and our pillars were founded on our nest. Get it? We're being really clever. And nest stands for networking, which is the main objective of this community, is to create a network. I don't know who's out there that's heard your network is your net worth, but it's true, right? So it's creating a network. It's education. We invite strong business women to speak directly to our WREN people about their business models and how they made it happen, how they made it work. Skill development is the S in our nest. Hands-on training to develop your skills and transformation. Right. We're all about transformation, because where you are now to get to where you want to be might not only be a business transformation, but it also might be a personal transformation. So those are the 4 pillars that we're founded on. We have some sponsors I'd like to tell you about. Trillion Capital is one of our sponsors here in Los Angeles. Actually, she spans California, and she is a hard money lender. I'll put her information in the chat. So if anybody needs a hard money member, I strongly highly recommend Trillion. And then one of our other national sponsors is the National Real Estate Insurance Group. This group not only insures your home if you are a primary home owner, it insures rental properties, it insures flip properties, it insures commercial properties, it'll give you business insurance, they have just a ton of stuff. I'll put that link in the chat as well. I wanted to share this quote with you today. And it is, if everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself, right? And this was really apparent to me in one of the projects that I'm working on. I have some great business partners. And I think when you have great business partners and you have an obstacle and you have multiple minds working to move you forward from this obstacle, it actually just propels the success of the project. And that's one of the things that we love about our WREN community. We want people to reach out and, use a lifeline. What is that TV show, right? Use a lifeline and call a WREN woman when you're stuck. Call a WREN woman when you need a referral, or use we have a members Facebook page. Use our members Facebook page to, reach out and help you in the brainstorming, help you in the deal making, right? Because when everybody moves forward together, success takes care of itself. Oh, like I said, at the beginning, we have a cash flow game coming up here in Los Angeles. It's going to be Saturday, December 10th from 9:30 to 12:30. We'll have bagels and coffee there. It's going to be really fun. Come out, play cash flow. And it's not for women only. It's for women and men. So if you want to bring your partner, you want to bring your husband, you want to bring your brother, bring them along. And we're going to have probably about 5 cash flow games going. And it's at this cool warehouse in Burbank. Next month, we have a tiny home, the tiny home lady. And she's going to talk to us all about tiny homes, which is one of the fastest growing areas of real estate. And also in October, we have a WREN event that we're calling SOAR. And SOAR is about those next steps. So we're going to talk about apartments. We're going to talk about development. We're going to talk about storage unit. We're going to talk about hotels. We're going to talk about how to finance all of that. And it's going to be one day of teaching in a classroom, and then one day of going out in a bus and touring around all these different apartments, developments, hotels and such, and hearing the case studies, like live walkthrough case studies. So put that on your calendar. It's a Monday and Tuesday, if you are interested. You're going to hear a lot of ideas here tonight, and I just want to reiterate that you need to check with your attorneys and your financial advisors if what you hear is good for you. You need to make sure what you're doing and what you're investing in is good for you. So make sure you check that out with your attorneys and your financial advisors. I finally get to introduce our woman of the hour, Dorothy. Dorothy has been a WREN member for, I'm not sure, I hope she tells you. I think it's like 4 or 5 years. I'm not actually sure.
4 years.
4 years.
Well, actually 5 years, I believe. Yeah.
5 years. And I'm going to take this down. And she started with us in Los Angeles. And then she ended up moving to Seattle, and we happened to have a chapter in Seattle. So then she continued with us in Seattle. So I am going to let Dorothy take it away. So you guys give Dorothy some love in the chat. And Dorothy, it's all you.
Thank you
Oh,
so
if you were not
much.
muted, I'm going to mute you.
So I was going to say that I really want to have that cash flow game here in Seattle too. That sounds so fun. Maybe it's something.
Let's figure it out, Dorothy. Let's figure it out. Let's do it.
That would be so fun. So I am also trying to figure out how to share my slides. Give me just 1 second here so I can also have something to talk about. Start sharing.
Let me know if you're having a problem, but you should be able to share. I've made you co-host.
Okay, there you go. So are you seeing my slides?
I'm seeing your slides as well as the stuff going down your left side. So.
Okay, so I will have to do this. There we go.
Very good.
Cool. So hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about a little bit about how to make use of equity in your properties. So before I start, I want to introduce myself very quickly. I have been a mortgage loan originator since 2014. I'm licensed in California and Washington, but this presentation is not in any way any advice from me to you, because every case is different. It's merely just me sharing some of what my clients are doing and how I've been helping them to access their equity. And I belong to a family of mortgage loan originators. So my mom, my 2 brothers are also mortgage loan originators. So there are actually a lot of discussion about mortgage and real estate over dinner. I'm also identified as top 27 best mortgage brokers in Pasadena on expert.com. Most of my clients would come to me if they are first-time home buyers, upgrade buyers, or 1 to 4 unit investors. I would like to say my clients always grow with me because they buy their first home with me and then they grow out of it and then they start to build up their real estate portfolio. So that's how I want my relationship to be with them, and I'm happy with that. I am also a real estate investor myself since 2014. I started out really small. I remember I was partnering up with a group of people and we bought a bunch of property, single family homes in Hamlet, California. That's how I started. And now we sold the portfolio and I am investing on my own. So that's why being in the mortgage industry, especially focusing in 1 to 4, my favorite is single family home, but now I'm also expanding my interest in syndication, particularly for storage units and also apartment. I have yet to own any apartments yet, but it's something that I'm looking into. And a small fun fact about myself, I am a new mom of a 6-month-old and he's super cute. If you want to talk about babies, I will be the person to go to because I'm not tired of it. So a little bit about the market. We all know that home prices at all-time high right now. There is a little bit of slowdown, but we're still seeing appreciation. It says Black Knight says that the tappable equity increased to over 11 trillion in Q1 of 2022. So that's average of that's average of about $207,000 tappable equity per home owner. So that's a lot. So how to make use of the equity without selling the home? So that's a big quick question, right? So there are three common ways to do that. The first way, obviously, is to cash out refinance. The second way would be home equity loan. And the third way is home equity line of credit. And what are the differences between these three? So cash out refinance is really you get a new loan to pay off your current loan. And in the process, you borrow a little bit more and you keep the proceed. Now, home equity loan is usually it's a second position. So you keep your first mortgage and you get a second mortgage. It's usually fixed and it amortizes over a set period of time. Home equity line of credit is more, think about your credit card, but it's your property is the collateral of that line of credit. So you use whatever you use. Your bank would usually give you a line, and you will use it whenever you want to, whenever you need to, and you can also repay it whenever you can. And you only make interest payment on the amount that you use. So depending on what the horizon of how long you need to use the money. Oh, and for home equity line of credit, usually the interest rate is adjustable. So, and they also have interest only payment. So depending on what your needs are, the horizon of how long you need to use the funds, these are the three options that the most common options out there. Now, our first case study of the night is about Paul. Paul is a client of mine. Obviously, that's not his real name, but let's call him Paul. Paul came to me and he would like to purchase an investment property. The purchase price of that investment property was $565,000. So his goal was to have as little out of pocket as possible because he's a business owner. So he wants to keep as much capital in his pocket as much as possible, so that he can apply to his business in the future. So currently, at the time he came to me, he owned an investment property that was purchased back in 2020. It was in a prime location in downtown LA. So at that time, the purchase price was $445,000. But thanks to appreciation in the past few years, that house was worth $550,000 at the time he approached me. So he had a small loan on it, which is $292,000. So he put a pretty significant amount of down at the time. So he decided to have a new loan amount of $412,500. He ended up having a net proceed of $118,000, meaning from the cash out refinance, $118 was the amount that he received that goes into his pocket. Now, the new purchase, as I just mentioned, it's $565,000. The new purchase and the purchase price was $565,000. He wanted to put 25% down, so it's $141,250. The closing cost was around $7,300. So for him to close on this deal, he needs $148,000 and $550. So if he were to not have a cash out and buy this property, he'll have to come up with the whole amount from his savings, $148,550. But because he was able to cash out from an existing property that he owns, which is, again, the proceed was $118,000, he was able to apply this proceed to closing, to the funds required to close, and only had to bring out $30,000, $30,550. So that's very powerful. And instead of like you coming up with 148 from your savings, you can cash out from your property that you own and have a small out of pocket. And now you have a second real investment property, right? So the beauty of this transaction is we actually was able to close the two loans within 1 week apart. So essentially we did both, we applied both loans together, the refi cash out and the purchase. And then we were able to close the refi first. The borrower was able to get the cash and then apply it to the new purchase closing. And that was, the difference was just 1 week. To him, it worked because the property he purchased was a new construction. It had a set date. We kind of know around what time and when the closing is going to be. So why it's good, it's because we were able to save some of the interest from that cash out for him. Now, the second case study, by the way, if you have any question, I will be answering because it's kind of difficult for me to monitor the chat. So if you have any questions, I can answer it in the end of the presentation.
Okay, Dorothy, I'll help monitor the chat with you too. So I'll keep track of questions. So anybody who has questions,
Great,
put in the chat.
Okay, great, thank you. I mean, if you have any question now, or you can also let me know if that's the case.
Okay. When you were first describing the products, the different types of products, I was curious about the current rates for the products. Can you speak to that a little bit, or are they all at different rates and different interest only or amortized
Yeah, so the interest rate right now, because it kind of varies. It depends on if it's if the cash out is on an investment property, or it's on a primary home, or if it's a home equity line of credit and whatnot. So I would say, in general, if it's like a primary, we're looking at a 5-ish, 6-ish. For investment property, I would think that it's probably going to be like in the tail end of 5 to 6-ish. If it's a conventional. For home equity line of credit, it's usually a little bit more higher, because I personally don't do home equity line of credit, so I can't really speak to that. But usually it's a little bit higher than conventional loan. Did I answer your question?
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, because it also depends on the credit, different loan type and whatnot, because there are just so many different loan types. But what I just mentioned was that's the conventional. So if you were to go portfolio and like different loan type, then it would be higher. And obviously interest rate changes. The interest rates change all the time. It depends on the policy that's coming up, inflation and all, the economic and all that. So I would say always check with your lender, because today's interest rate does not equal to tomorrow. They just change very quickly.
We have another question specifically about Paul's case study. So what type of property did Paul refi and purchase? Like, was it condo, single family, what was it? It
was a condo. So he refied a condo and purchased a condo.
Fabulous. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then for Amanda, so case study 2, my other client, again, Amanda's not her name, but let's say her name is Amanda. So this is a very interesting case study because my client came to me. She wanted to purchase a second home in Big Bear, California. So she has the money, but she just doesn't want to use her saving at all. And she owns a single family home in Alhambra, California. She purchased this home a while back in 2001. It's a single family home. And the purchase price was $390,000. Now, fast forward today, her property was worth $860,000 the time she came to me. And she had a loan amount of $311,000. You can see that she probably did a cash out before too. But now she decided to cash out again and get a new loan amount of $510,000 for 100. The net proceeds she got out from this refinance was $198,000. So the new purchase, she ended up finding something at around the purchase price was $700,000. And she decided to put $151,000 down. The closing cost was around $11,000, and the funds required to close was $163,000. So with the cash out, she got $198,000. Net the funds required to close. Not only can she pay the entire down payment and closing costs with her cash out proceed, she still have a remaining of $34,000 that she can use for other stuff. So based on my understanding, she told me that she was going to use it to upgrade, to renovate the house a little bit, this her Big Bear house a little bit. So that's what she used it for. Now, the reason why I want to share this case study with you guys is because, and the definition of what a second home is because this is also a way for you to have a little bit of additional income. Why? Because for it to be a second home, obviously you need to occupy the property as the second home for some portion of the year. And you must keep the property available primarily for the borrower's personal use and enjoyment. So that kind of means that it's more than half of the calendar year. However, you are actually able to rent it out on a short-term basis. So this is exactly what my client did. She goes to Big Bear all the time. In the summer and the winter, his kids would go there. But for the remaining time, like the rest of the year, she Airbnb'd it, like she short-term rental it out to other people. So not only can she purchase this house for enjoyment, she can also make a little bit of additional income from this house, right? So this is a great point I want to make. Now, case study 3, our third case study of tonight is Julie. So Julie came to me and she wanted to have some additional source of income. She has one property. She owns a single family home that she lives in. And she wanted to build an ADU. So in California, ADU was actually one of the solution that is identified as one of the solutions to increase supply for affordable housing. Now that being said, I understand that there are several restrictions are removed in California, meaning that it's easier for you to get approved to build ADU these days. So she wanted to take advantage of that, and she wanted to build an ADU that's around 1,000 square feet. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. Her house, she purchased her house back in 2019 with a purchase price of $730,000. At the time she came to me, the house was free and clear, meaning there's no loan on it, there's no mortgage on it. So she ended up there now, just to showcase that how much her house is worth at the time she came to me. It was $924,000. It was actually this year, beginning of this year. So she came to me and decided to get a small loan, $250,000 to build this ADU. Then the net proceeds she got from the transaction was $247,200. That's net the closing costs. The new payment after she got the mortgage, the principal and interest she had to pay was $1,122. That's what she's paying right now after cashing out. The tax and insurance was $725 and $45. So the total PITI, that's what we call PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance, is now $1,892. So the estimated rent in that area for a 3-bed, 2-bath is $2,700. Now, if you take a look at the PITI, it was only $1,892. Not only can she use this rent to cover her housing expenses, she also can estimate a net rent of a cash flow of $808. That goes into her pocket every month. So this is fantastic for her. So this is this is the reason why I'm showcasing this to you is it doesn't have to, you don't have to buy a house if that's not something that you want. Like you can also be a little bit more creative, maybe an ADU, maybe a cash out on your home to build this ADU. That can also give you additional income. right? So there are also other ways for you to use equity in your properties. It can be debt consolidation, divorce settlement. Can also be you want to buy out a co-owner. In a lot of cases, a lot of my clients, when they first came to me, they didn't have the income to qualify on their own, so they had to buy the house with maybe their parents or their relatives, and now they kind of built up their assets and they have the income. Their income has grown over the years. Now they want to buy out their co-owner or co-borrower. You can also do that. All right. And also business capital, you can do refinance, apply it to your business, and home improvement, college funds, and some other investments as well. So, yep, that's a pretty quick and short presentation about my case studies. Deborah, do I have any questions
You don't
that I
have
can answer?
You don't have any questions right now, Dorothy, but I just want to encourage everybody to go ahead and take a snapshot of this picture so that if you want to get in touch with Dorothy after this presentation, or you think of something that she didn't cover and you have more questions, you can just reach out to her directly. But Dorothy, if you don't mind take your screenshots now. Because Dorothy's going to stop sharing her screen in a couple of seconds. So we'll just take the screenshots. Okay, we've got we've got another question in the chat. And what are the pros and cons? So go ahead and take it down your.
Let me try to stop sharing.
Stop sharing. You have to go to the bottom.
Stop sharing. There you go.
There you are. So there we are. Hey. Okay.
Yay.
So there are questions coming in. What are the pros and cons of buying a second home instead of buying a property as an investment? Can you speak to that? LaRonda wants to know.
Yeah, so there are specific requirements for the house to be a second home. So the difference between an investment property and a second home is the intention of how long are you gonna stay in the house, right? So the definition I showed earlier for second home, you actually have to live in the house or stay in the house for a portion of the year, and it cannot be rent out for more than half a year. So the property will have to be ready for you to use for at least half of a little bit more than half of the calendar year. So an investment property, you are free to rent it out whenever you want. So it can be short-term rental, long-term rental. So I guess it depends on the definition of how you're going to use that property, instead of like which way is better.
Right. And for those of you that are out there and are maybe wanting to dabble in short-term rental or midterm, they have midterm rental, which is like a month or a 2-month midterm rental, as opposed to a day or a weekend or a week, right? You need to run the numbers, like, who knows, like what you could do if you sat down with Dorothy and figured out some kind of cash out refi and being able to get a second home, and then running the numbers to a short-term rental and seeing if for 6 months out of the year, will that cover your mortgage costs? Will it cover half your mortgage costs? Will it cover all your mortgage costs? Like, wouldn't that be worth it if you ran the numbers that way, right? So great.
And one thing to note, if it's a second home, you won't be able to use the rental income to qualify. So essentially, you will have to use your personal income to qualify for the mortgage.
That's good to know.
Right?
So basically, you'll have to qualify solely before any kind of rental income. So
exactly.
We have another question. I have a question. Was the ADU in LA? Does an ADU add to a property trigger a property tax increase? If so, do you know how much?
That, unfortunately, I do not know. I do believe that there might be some reassessment, but don't quote me on this. I know that there are a lot of ADU experts in the WREN group, but I'm actually not one of those.
I'm not an ADU expert, but I have built an ADU from ground up on a property and was assessed for it. So yes,
They do reassess you, right?
Do not look the other way when you build another
Yeah.
on the property. So there you go. Do you offer loans in other states besides California and Washington?
No, just these two. And well, I'm trying to get more. It would be, yeah, it would be my goal to be licensed in more states.
Okay, great. So the second home has the lower home, wait, has the, okay. LaRonda, so the second home has the lower homeowner down payment. Oh, I think she's asking what the down payment is for the second home. Is it 20%? Is it 10%? Is it 25%? What is it? Because I know for some investment homes, you have to put down 25%. Yeah.
Yeah. So it does have a more relaxed down payment requirement. It's between let's just say it's like 5% because it depends on the loan amount too. But did you mention about interest rate too? So down payment requirement, yes, it's more relaxed.
About down payment. So down payment, the second home is lower than for an investment. Okay, so exactly. This is interesting to me because I know that for my investment homes, I have to do 25% down. I can't even do 20, right? 20 for your primary is kind of standard, right? You have to do 25% down for any kind of investment home. So for a second home, granted, you can only rent it out half of the year, but you can have a lower down payment. That's good to know.
Exactly.
Can you make it a straight rental after a certain amount of time?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
It's the mortgage company knowing.
It depends on that period of time, right? Because say if it's a primary, the definition for it to be a primary residence is you have the intention to live in the house for a minimum of 12 months, right? So I would anticipate it being similar to second home, but I have to check on that.
Okay. So for Paul's case study, what was his cash flow on the refinanced condo and on the new condo?
The cash flow, I believe he was negative. I didn't really, I can't remember exactly, but he actually did. It's not cash flow positive. However, he does have that savings to cover the difference.
Got it.
So
he's investing for equity for values to go up, right?
Exactly, because it's in LA. So that's what he's doing. And that's what I've been seeing a lot for investors buying in California.
Okay, so Anita asked, is there a tax difference if it's a second home versus a STR? Yeah, we just a tax difference.
No, I'm stating it.
Oh, there
is a tax difference.
Yes, no, it's not a question. No, I'm just saying because you're talking from a mortgage loan perspective versus a tax perspective. I just wanted to state that. I'm a CPA.
I want to take this opportunity to introduce Anita. Anita is one of our WREN members.
Sorry.
And
that I jumped in.
She's a CPA. Yay.
That's actually a great point too, actually.
Yeah. So there is
I am not a tax specialist. So
So there is a tax difference. So you can quote Anita. There's a difference in the second home as opposed to a standard rental. Okay, we're getting to more questions.
So let me also clarify my scenario about the second home. I'm not in any way encouraging anyone try to buy an investment property as a second home for my client, because it's also very important, right? You get the mortgage for the purpose that your intent to, right? So if it is indeed, in my client's case, she indeed is using it as a second home, and by the way, you know what, I can make a few bucks from that. So that's her scenario. But if the house is really for investment, then it has to be an investment mortgage, right? It has to qualify as an investment property.
So it's my understanding, and I think every lender is different, but so I'm gonna disclaim that before I say this sentence, that lenders, if you take out a loan and if it is not doing what it's intended to do, they can call the
Mhm.
loan, just like if you
Yes.
try to do a loan wrap or anything like that, they can call the loan. So,
Yes.
if you are trying to take out a second home, loan and
Mhm.
are renting it out all the time, they find out, they can call the loan
Yeah.
and bam, you owed all that money right then and there. So there you go.
Yeah. In fact, there are cases where they actually do that, and they do go out and audit for occupancy these days, because it's getting more and more common that people are trying to, get around the occupancy. So it's really not encouraged. And these days, when we do mortgages, there's a disclosure that you will have to sign the actual occupancy, what it is. Like, are you living in their second home or investment? And it will tell you that it's an FBI investigation if it is not, if you're not doing what you're saying. So just be very careful when you disclose occupancy.
Right. We don't want to anybody end up in the clinker over this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we have some more questions.
Yeah.
Stacy's saying, if you do short-term rentals on a second home, do you still need to keep it open for you for 6 months? I think we just answered that. Yes, you do, Stacy. Yeah, especially if you've taken out a loan as a second home. Yes, you definitely do.
Yeah.
Cindy's saying it's a wild, wild west with mortgages right now. Thank you, Cindy.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Dorothy. What are the mortgage rates you are seeing on investment properties currently in California and Southern California?
I want to say I'm seeing a lot of sixes these days.
Sixes.
Like sixes, yeah.
So are you seeing the minimum down as 25% and then the mortgage rates at 6%?
Yeah. So there are times, like on the good times, it probably would be in the high 5s, but I'm also seeing some 6s because it kind of does fluctuate. A few weeks ago, we went all the way, the interest rate kind of dropped to 2 months low, and now we're just going back again. So that's why I've been telling my client, always come to me whenever you have to get into an escrow, because it's been having, really big swings these days. So it's always good to check to make sure that your pre-approvals are okay.
Let's talk about pre-approvals. I noticed it was something that nobody asked about in the chat, and I'm going to ask about it because I've been a real estate investor for a long time, and I try to not have very much income. Anybody else here try not to have very much income, right? We try not to have much income because we don't want to pay tax on it, but it really bites you in the what when you need to qualify for a loan, right? Now, do I have assets? Yes. Do I have cash flow? Yes. Do I have income? Yes. But do I have a lot of expenses, or at least write off a lot of expenses on my businesses to balance out my tax, mitigate my tax liability? So what are the qualifications for, say, a cash out refi, or say a second home loan? Are there different qualifications? Do you have different products to accommodate different people in their different tax brackets? What's the deal?
Yeah, so there are different products to basically help you with that. So let's just say if you're trying to go with conventional, right? Conventional loans, they usually look at your debt to income ratio. And when you're a business owner, the income that they use is the income after expenses. So if you're claiming a lot of expenses and having a very little net, that is not going to be helpful when it comes to getting a conventional loans. When it comes to getting a conventional mortgage. Now, but that being said, if you're buying an investment property, the rental income is also considered as income. So, or even like if you're purchasing a rental property, that property's future income can also be considered, depending on every case is different, but usually that's the case, right? So that's going to be helpful.
I think you're talking about, like, say you're buying a duplex or something, so you're going to be able to consider the rental income as part of.
Even for single family homes. So say if I own a house myself, I own my primary home, I go and buy an investment property, I can actually use the rental income of that investment property to qualify for my mortgage.
Good to
right?
know.
So that's going to be helpful. Yeah. However, if some business owners are having losses, then that would also be a problem because that would now become a liability, right? So it's like negative. So that's one. However, if that doesn't work, because the debt to income ratio, to answer your question, it's usually 45 to 50. It doesn't really matter if it's an investment property or a primary home. Lenders still look at your file as a whole, and they look for a debt to income ratio between 45 to 50. Now, for those who can't meet those, it's not like, no, there are no products for you. There are products out there, which we call portfolio loans, that some of the products don't really require income for you to qualify, but you probably need to have a bigger down. And also you probably need to have some reserves, right? And some of the loans are specifically for investment properties. I'm not sure. I'm actually sure a lot of people have heard of DSCR loans on this call. So it's basically that they only look at the debt coverage ratio, debt service coverage ratio of the property itself and the monthly payment. Usually, from what I see in California, you need a bigger down, but it's not like you can't get a loan at all. So essentially, even if you, as a borrower, you don't make any money on your own, but then but the property they use the income of that property to calculate the loan amount. Does it make sense?
Yeah. And is that the same for if you were trying to buy a second home?
So for second home, second home is not considered as an investment. So a lot of these DSCR, they are looking at rental income, but if it's a second home, you can't really qualify it as an investment. I know it's kind of strange, right? It's a second home, you're collecting rental. Yeah.
So the qualifying for a second home is higher. Is that what you're saying? Like you need a little more verification of income for a second home.
You can say that, like if it's yes and no, because usually if it's a conventional, second conventional, you won't be able to use the rental income, then yes, you need higher income to qualify for a second. But then if you're getting it as a stated income loan or a no income required loan, then you don't need just income. You're just showing that, hey, I have this amount of reserve in my bank account, and there you go. This is my down payment. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So it depends on the type of loans.
We've got a couple questions in the chat I'd like to get to. So Joy is asking, if my parents put my name on the deed, would I still qualify for a first-time buyer status? So
No, because so the definition for a first-time home buyer is you do not own a home in the past 3 years.
Okay, so if that's in the past 3 years, Joy, sorry. No first-time home buyer status for you.
It's nice, but yeah, no.
Casey is asking about something that we actually haven't talked about tonight. If you're purchasing 5+ units, you can qualify based on the NOI, the net operating income. For those of you that don't know what NOI stands for, net operating income, right? Do you deal with loans like that, or tell us?
I'm pretty focused on 1 to 4 units. So anything more than 4, it's not my strong sleeve. But based on my understanding, I do think you can also apply that DSCR rule on apartment loans.
Okay, and Joy,
but don't quote me on this because it's not my expertise.
So she's just disclaimed herself out of that, just so we're all clear. And Joy just said they hadn't put her name on the deed yet. Yay, Joy! We're back in the race. So yay. You know what? Let's then talk about something that you are more versed in, and that's like, say, a quad, like, right? So I think, just personally, I think they're great investments. Right? Buy a duplex, buy a triplex, buy a quad, especially if it's your first purchase, right? Get a lower down payment.
Absolutely.
And then you get people to help you pay your mortgage. And, I've been encouraging my daughter to do this for years, and she still hasn't. Why is it we can't get our kids to do what we do? Anyway, so that's a whole different, meetup, and a whole different meeting. So yeah, so when you're looking at trying to qualify for, say, a triplex or a quad, and you're going to live in it, right? So, you live in one unit. How do they look at? Do they actually take those other 3 units? Say it's a quad, so they take those other 3 units of income and count it so that your ratio is calculated that way?
Yes, you can actually use those 3. So if it's a quad and you're living in one, they can use the other 3 unit, the rental income for those 3 units as qualifying income. Yes.
Jessica wants to know, what about the FHA? Can we use that for a triplex or quad? Is it also possible to utilize a down payment assistance program for a 3 to 4 unit, or is that only for single family rentals? Single family
Down payment assistance, we don't really do down payment assistance, but to answer the FHA question, yes, you can use FHA for triplex and quadplex.
Cool. Okay, quads for everyone. You heard it, ladies. You heard it here. Quads for everyone.
I would love to find one of those too.
Yes,
Yeah.
where though? Where?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
get a quad, have 3 people help you make your mortgage payment, sit in it, let it appreciate for a while. And then, if you ever want to move out, you've got your rental, you've got your investment property right there. You just move out and fill that unit, right? I mean, it's a great, great option. So do we, woo! Okay, the hour's gone. Our power of hours is almost over. All right, let's give Dorothy some love in the chat. Dorothy, thank you so much for bringing us this information and getting our mind thinking about ways that we can utilize our equity to be able to become better investors. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I'm going to share.
Thank you so much.
Yes, no problem. Let me see where I had some screens I want to share. For those of you that this is your first time, I hope you got some benefit and some information from what we were discussing about mortgages. And I wanted to share with you, oh, here it is. There's my screens. I'm going to share my screen here. Just a couple really quick announcements. Once again, cash flow game. There is a link in the chat. So, and by the way, if you guys want to save the chat, go down to the bottom of the chat to the 3 ellipses on the right and go to save, and you can save the chat. So there's a link in the chat for the cash flow game. Anybody wants to join us for cash flow, go sign up. Oh, if you are a WREN member, your link is coming to you through your inbox, please. We have Tiny Home Lady speaking to us next September 21st. And she is, go to renmonthlymeeting.com if you're interested in tiny homes. Man, this woman has a ton of information about tiny homes. She is incredible. We're having SOAR, come SOAR with us in Phoenix in October, the 17th and 18th. Day 1 is all teaching, apartments, development, storage units, hotels, financing. And day 2 is a bus tour going around and looking through these live case studies. Once again, if you haven't become a WREN member, why? Go to joinren.com. Our membership is $249. I mean, hello, ladies, that is a pair of nice shoes, right? $249 for a year membership. Go to joinren.com. It's both national and local. There's savings, there's discounts, there's educational platforms, there's community calls just for members. There's special member only discounts, which, by the way, there'll be a special member only discount for SOAR. We have our own WREN concierge to help us through things. We have an exclusive Work It Girl networking training to talk about how networking is about building relationships, right? It's not just putting your name and your number in the chat, ladies. It's about building relationships. So go to joinren.com and become a member. Thank you once again, Dorothy. Thank you for sharing with us today. And there it is, top of the hour. We made it, our power hour. Congratulate yourselves for being here, ladies. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me.
I hope to see you online or in person very soon. Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, grab the chat if you need it. Grab the chat. I'm saving the chat now. Jacqueline, thank you for saying thank you. Dang, it's hot.